Hello, welcome. This is Tips for the Transition, the Career Roadmap, and I'm so glad you're here with us today. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, and I created this show to share resources and tips and practical strategies that help women navigate career and life challenges and to know that they're not alone. So each week, my guest and I co-create a show to encourage women to become more confident, brilliant, resilient, and brave in their career and in their lives. So we stream live weekly on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And I'm so excited about this news. We are now on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV, and a couple of other of your favorite streaming platforms on the E360 TV network. And if you prefer to listen to your podcasts audio in the audio way, you can find us on all the podcast channels as well. So if something inspires you today and you want more of the same, please subscribe to your favorite channel. Leave us a comment, share your favorite episodes so we can create more ripples among women around the world. And don't forget, the show notes have all the links for you to connect directly with my guest and me. So, as I often do, let me start with a question for you. Are you in the driver's seat of your career and life? Do you have both hands firmly on the wheel and you know where you're headed? Or are you looking in the rear view mirror, maybe wondering, how did I get here? And not knowing exactly what direction you should head in going forward. There's no judgment here. I don't want you to worry because you are not alone. So today, I'm going to introduce you to the fabulous Becca Powers, and she is here to help us reclaim the driver's seat, what she calls harnessing the inner CEO, your inner CEO. And she wrote a book about it. So Becca is not your average high-tech sales executive and author. She's a powerhouse of motivation, an award winner, and a kundalini yoga teacher with beautiful energy. With a track record of delivering engaging keynotes and workshops to Fortune 500 giants like Dell and Cisco and Royal Caribbean, Becca has become a go-to personal growth and peak potential expert. Overcoming the tragic loss of her parents and working as a careered mom, living paycheck to paycheck, Becca understands the real life struggles that happen every single day. She parlays her personal and corporate experiences into her teaching to help her audience shatter limitations, unlock their boundless potential, and catapult them into epic success. Now, who doesn't want to go on that journey, right? So I can't wait to start this conversation with my new friend, Becca. So welcome, Becca. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Maria, for having me on.
It is my pleasure. I'm going to get this technology right here. All right. Thank you. I have adored our conversation so far, and I'm so happy that you're here to share your brilliance with our audience. So I love to start with a little bit of background. Becca, would you tell us a bit about your career, a bit more than I shared, and what brought you to doing what you do now?
That is a fantastic place to start. It's my favorite part is when I get to tell my story. So, because I really feel like it's so relatable. There was, so for a career, I'm a Fortune 500 sales leader. And at one point of my journey, I was a sales leader for an organization that had a mantra. My leadership mantra is people before profits. So it had a leadership mantra that was putting people first. I felt like it was in total alignment. The only thing is that it wasn't a perfect alignment. And I can't say that any job is, but it was more off than on. And maybe the listeners and the viewers can relate to this. But as powerful women, we often resiliency is one of our gifts, but it could also be one of our downfalls if it's not done and balanced well. So in my case, I was in this role for probably 2.5 years, too long. And one night after work, I walked into the house and my kids ran up to me with enthusiasm. I still do have the blended family, but back then they were all in middle school. And I walked in through the door. They greeted me with excitement, and I greeted them with anger and pure exhaustion. I lashed out at them, and I had one of those magical moments, I guess, where like everything stopped and I was able to see that they went from happy to sad. And my mom heart dropped from my heart into my stomach. And I had to sit there and ask myself, is this the woman, the mother, the person that I want to be? Do I want to respond like that? And in that moment, I realized that my presence had become my problem, or lack of it. And so that night, when I went to bed, I was getting ready for bed, and I had my bathroom floor moment, is what I like to say. I may have had a nervous breakdown, whatever label you want to put on it, but I fell to the floor in despair and depletion. And I didn't have the energy to get myself up. And in that moment, when I'm laying there on the bathroom floor, reflecting on the day, reflecting on the past 2.5 years, what I came to terms with is that I had powered through to the point that my divorce was on the rocks. I had disconnected relationships with my kids. I had debt, and just this mountain of, it seemed like it was going to be a monumental expedition to fix my life. And in that moment, I had nowhere to go but up, is what I like to say. And so I called out to God, universe, whichever word you want to put on it. And my cry for help was this: I can't do tomorrow the same way I'm doing today, because I only know how to do tomorrow the same way I'm doing today, and it's not working. So I need another way. And I say in that moment, I got my instant miracle, and it's going to get to how the book was written and why I wrote it. In that moment of complete despair, I reached out to the universe, and what I got was an answer in the form of a memory. And I don't know, again, if listeners and viewers can relate to this, but sometimes things come in the form of like a lyric or a memory. So for me, I heard in my head, Becca, you are the CEO of your life. And that is something that a former VP of sales had told me. And so it was that memory that gave me the empowerment, the energy to rise up off the bathroom floor, a different woman than the one that went down, because there on the bathroom floor, I knew that if I was the CEO of my life, then I had a lot more power in the situation than I thought I had. And so when I rose, I did rise differently. And it took about 2 years for my full transformation. But once I felt like I understood enough of my past and enough of my own formula, I sat down and wrote Harness Your Inner CEO. So thank you.
Wow. I am so certain that a lot of people are going to resonate with that story. I was getting goosies. That's my signal that truth is being spoken. And it resonated with me. I'm getting them right now again.
Yeah, I'm getting them too.
It resonated with me, although I did not have a bathroom floor moment. I had a moment just like that. In fact, I can tell you I've had 2 or 3 in my life. And I remember so well feeling depleted, like I had no power over anything. And that's what I felt you were describing. Yeah. And I'm so grateful you shared that with us so that we can connect with you in that way, and understand that people out there are going through a similar thing. I had a moment this weekend that I thought I was losing it all. There are, a number of things going on in my life right now that I don't have much control over, and I'm doing
Sure.
the very best I can do. And that didn't feel like enough. And over the weekend, I kind of lost it. So it happens to the best of us
It does.
at the best of times and at the worst of times. So thank you again for sharing
Yeah,
that
you're
story.
welcome.
I would love to know, hold up your book for a second,
Yeah.
Harness Your Inner CEO. There we go. Harness Your Inner CEO. It's backwards here, but that's okay. We'll read backwards. Tell us, you've told us a bit of your story, and you told us that moment and that miracle in that moment, which I'm sure was more than just a moment. You were probably on the floor for minutes at least.
Yes. Fetal position crying. Yes, there was.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So, it was an extended moment. So tell us what inspired you to write the book.
I'd love to. So when I it was really the I would say the magic and the miracles that happened during my transformation. So the next day I had to do different, and we can go into some of those steps when we move into practical, but I just want to reiterate that I had to show up differently the next day. Otherwise I was going to end up on the bathroom floor, and I didn't have a whole lot of tools yet to do that. But what I understood, what I understand now is an action that I did then. And that was, if saying yes to something else or to someone else made me say no to myself, I couldn't afford to say yes. The cost was too high. And
Mm,
so during that process of learning to say no to things, even if they were projects that maybe inspired me or I thought I could make a big impact, I would say no. And in this process of saying no, I regained time, space, and energy. And in this space of time, space, and energy, I got to figure out what it was that I felt would align to me, what lit me up, where were my passions. I started writing again, which ultimately led to the book, but I've been writing since I was a kid. So I just gave myself space to write short stories or journal. And as I started getting back into the space of like maybe like in flow with the universe or just in touch with the things that bring me passion and joy, my life started changing. I ended up leaving that job for another job that put me into like a blissful state. I am in sales again for a living, and I ended up having territory down in the Florida Keys, and I had water on both sides of me. I had to go down there every 3 weeks. I'm like, I have to go to the Keys. But I'm using those as tangible examples of like my life completely changed. And so by the time I got through the end of the 2-3 year transformation, I was like, there is a better way, kind of how you're really passionate about your show. Like I knew that I could help people. I knew that women were powering through, and I knew that powerful women who people look at as independent or they've got it together inside are like, I'm barely holding it together.
yeah.
And so then I became vocal and wanting to put a framework together that might inspire someone to maybe, again, maybe they don't have to hit the bathroom floor, maybe more on the positive. They can gain the control. They can take the wheel, like how you opened up, and really just create a life for them that they absolutely love, both in their personal life and in their career.
Yeah, and we all deserve that, right?
Yes.
It is so, oh, goosies again. We all deserve that. Um, and it's in it whether we believe it or not at the moment, it
Yes.
is within our power to have, to create.
Yes.
Uh, I love that you said in your story when you realized that you had to do things differently
Yes.
tomorrow
Yeah.
than you did them today, or you would just continue on that same
Mm-hmm.
hamster wheel, the going through the motions, the coming home exhausted, depleted, and yelling at your kids none of that would change
Right.
until you changed something.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That is such a powerful lesson for all of us to hear. Nothing changes until we change something. And we got to want to change. We've got to want something different. We got to want not to come home and react to our kids that way, but come home and respond to them in a more loving fashion so that they don't get triggered, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is a big lesson that I took from your story. What is one of the biggest lesson maybe that you learned through that transition and transformation process?
The first one that comes up for me, I mean, there were a couple golden nuggets, but I think the first one that comes up for me is that not only is it okay, it's a must for me to prioritize myself first. I have been a leader for a long time, and I've been very fortunate to lead within Fortune 500 companies, and typically they have pretty good cultures. Not all of them, but normally when you're in the best companies to work for and things like that, they're very culture driven. And I can say for myself, and I'm sure you come across this too, and the listeners do as well, but when you are in a leadership role or a coach's role, or maybe a project lead or program lead, but when I find people, I mean, leading looks different all over the place, but when I find women that have a makeup for leading because they are committed mostly to making an impact or making it, they will put themselves last, and or definitely not first. And what I have learned is that but when I make myself a priority and I'm willing to make myself the first priority, I'm more available for everything. I have presence in my marriage. I have presence in with my kids and my most intimate relationships, which no longer is an energy drain for me. Like that part of my life is whole. And then because I'm prioritizing my well-being and prioritizing what's important to me, I'm serving from a full cup. I'm not serving from being overextended and stretched. And my impact is so much more genuine. It's happy. People can feel that I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and not enjoying what I'm doing, but also with the same level of stress that I have joy. So people can feel you.
Yeah.
So I think that was a longer answer, but I always like to give practical examples in storytelling that when you do prioritize yourself first, everything else works better.
Oh, that is so true. If we are not at our best, we can't give our best, right? And I love that you use the teacup analogy. I use that all the time. My book is based on it.
I see
But
that.
what you said was, you fill your cup until it overflows, and then you give from the overflow.
Yeah.
And that's how we can stay filled. That when we fill it enough that the cup can't handle it any longer, and there's this beautiful saucer underneath it, and it catches the overflow, and that's when we can say, yes, yes, I have the energy. Yes, I have the bandwidth. Yes, I have the time. Yes, whatever that, it's always from the overflow. And when we do that, we don't deplete ourselves.
Right. I have the goosebumps as you say that too. Very beautifully said.
Yeah, I think I really appreciate that you shared that lesson. Um, yeah, it's so important. Everybody needs to hear that one. So tell us how your life changed after you started reclaiming those parts of yourself and taking care of yourself first.
I love that question because that is what made me want to stand like on a mountaintop and be like, there's another
There
way.
is another way. Yes.
So I had to reclaim my power. And yes, I do show up strongly in business. But what I mean by reclaiming my personal power was that prioritizing myself. Like my time, space, and energy now are probably, I will say, are the most valuable things that I have, because I can't show up if I don't have them. So that reclaiming of myself, I say it was my power. The other part of reclaiming was my passion. I we are all creators that were born to create. Some of us create through parenting. Some of us create through building businesses. Some of us create through self-expression, whether that's writing or coaching or leading, for an example. And other of us have artistic talents that perhaps we don't want to make an income off of. We don't want to monetize, but we enjoy doing as a craft. And I have found that as I was climbing the corporate ladder and chasing my career, that my passions, the things that did give me energy, were sitting in the back burner for quite a long time. So I gave myself permission to pursue what made me happy. So I started writing again. For fun, I created some yoga shirts that had I am affirmations on them. I'd really just let myself be free to play in that space. And I would say the third piece to reclaiming was my prosperity. Now, as a Fortune 500 leader, I was making good money. However, I had 4 kids and they were all in middle school. So the amount that I was spending also didn't really fully wrap around the amount that I was making. And as a result of reclaiming my power and reclaiming my passion, I found that my prosperity increased. And that was a beautiful benefit. And also why I get so excited to talk about it is because, I feel like I had my formula backwards. I was chasing prosperity, and in chasing prosperity, I lost contact with my passion. I lost contact with myself. And then when I prioritized myself and I gave myself permission to have passion again, my prosperity increased. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And then what I have found is that formula is pretty repeatable. And most of my clients, or I've had people read the book and reach out, be like, oh my gosh, you never guess what happened. I found a better job, or I got a raise, or I got a 2-level promotion. I'm like, see, it's awesome. So that was kind of my reclaiming journey, and a benefit that happened on the other side.
Yeah, I love this. I love everything about your story, Becca. I love everything about you. I'm so happy that you are sharing this part of your story, because um, when we give ourselves permission to take back what we let go of, whether we intended to do it or it just happened because, life happened and we kind of let it happen to us. When we start to reclaim those things and step back into our power to be who we are authentically,
Yes.
miracles can happen. Magic happens
I
when
always say
we,
that. I'm like, there's like a magic to life. It's
yes,
so awesome.
it is awesome. And there is another way for anyone out there who is struggling right now. And, you're trying to figure out how to get off the proverbial bathroom or the metaphorical
Yeah.
bathroom floor. There is another way. And Becca's book is one way to help you. So I am hearing about all the good stuff, about all the transformation, all of the peace parts that you've reclaimed, and all of the great stuff that did for you. But I know, going through my own set of transformations over my lifetime, that there are challenges.
Yes.
So I would love you to just flip the coin for just a minute and just tell us. So, what were some of the challenges? What was the biggest challenge, maybe, of your transformation?
I alluded to it earlier, but it's the other side of the coin, was starting to say no so I could say no to other people and situations so that I could say yes to myself. I was very much a yes person, not necessarily all from the people pleasing side, which I would say that one of my areas of opportunity that I had to heal through was the need for approval and validation from certain people. However, there's also a part to a lot of personalities that love business that we say yes to projects and opportunities because, like, hey, you never know where this could lead to, or maybe I'll get to learn a new skill. So there's a very positive reason why you say yes too. And so I'm kind of sharing that because that was I had two things I had to overcome: the need for approval and validation within authority figures, at, like, meaning my upper leadership was a common theme. And then two, saying yes to too many things because I love life. I love business. I love doing all the things. And what I realized was that I'd never said no. And so the next day I mentioned that I had to do something different. And I got invited into a leadership meeting where I had an opportunity to take on a new project. And I had to say no. I just was on the bathroom floor less than 12 hours ago. I can't say yes. And so I'm racking through my head. I'm like, how the heck am I going to say no? I've never said no before. And so then fear takes flight.
Yeah.
So I would say in the transformation, there's multiple times throughout your journey that you're going to come up with fear and face the shadowy sides of yourself. But I had fear coming in saying, am I going to get fired, or am I going to get written up? Am I going to be overlooked in the future for something that I want? Like, there was a lot of internal talk track that was happening that I had to overcome. And ultimately I ended up saying no. And I do want to digress. It's not even digress. Here's a practical tip for the listeners and the viewers. What I learned. So if you're hearing this and you're like, oh my gosh, I also need to start saying no, or I do say yes to things, and maybe saying no might benefit me. One of the really positive outcomes, even though this was some of the hardest work I had to do, and it applied to this situation that I'm talking about, my husband, my kids, my friends, my family, I lost people in the process too, which we can go back and talk about if you want to. But in this specific situation, I knew that I could not handle it, but I'm also a leader, and I wasn't going to leave this conversation without a potential solution. So I thought about it, and I knew there was a junior leader who was looking to get more visibility in the organization. So instead of saying no, I suggested that I did admit to having too full of a plate, and then I suggested that somebody else take this. And in that suggestion, that person ended up taking it. And what I realized is that, boundaries is hard work, but you can, instead of passing on it, you can pass it on. And on the other side of that, I ended up becoming a mentor, which I had no idea was even possible because I was just in a place of self-preservation. So I'll just stop there because I shared a lot and see what you have to say.
I was just making a note because that phrase that you just used, instead of passing on it, you can pass it on. This, if I have any more goosies in this, I'm just going to turn into one. I love that because that gives us permission, right?
Yes.
So not only have you said no for yourself because that's what you needed to do, but you have said, you have problem solved. So
Yes.
someone came to you with a project. Your plate was too full in so many ways.
Yes.
And for you to say yes to that would have put you right back on the floor.
Yep.
So you took care of yourself. You solved a problem by recommending someone else who was looking for more work to do, more challenges, right? And then you were able to guide them and mentor them in the doing. So it turned into a win-win.
Oh man, I have the goosebumps, right? They're like almost standing straight up.
Yeah. I love that example. That story is so powerful. And all of us can do that. I've lost really important people in my life as a result of having to say no more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's hurtful on all sides. Hard. and heart-wrenching.
Yes.
But sometimes it just has to be done in order to protect ourselves and continue to put ourselves first.
Yeah. And I'm really glad you went back to that, because I did mention that and I was hoping it would circle itself back around.
Yeah.
But I think for the viewers and the listeners, that's a really important part. Like, sometimes our energy are just so tied to other people that aren't filling that cup back up. And that's part of the process when you are in preservation mode. When you're in your transformation, you need every single ounce of energy that you have.
Right.
And you start learning, oh, this person's only supporting me when I'm doing something for them, or all those awarenesses. And that's why it hurts so much, because you're like, oh, once I stop giving value and I'm just being myself, maybe someone's not responding to you the way that they used to. And it's
Right.
hurtful.
Yeah.
However, on the other side of the hurt is the healing. And in the
Yeah.
healing, you get to be yourself. You get to have really, I feel that I have room for very deep and intimate relationships now, and a
Yeah.
lot less surface level. And
Yeah.
so I'm much more fulfilled.
Right. And you, in return, are fulfilling others
Yes.
because the relationships are so deep. You know, this idea of people we sometimes surround ourselves with, or you know, the kind of the legacy people in our lives who, as you described, are taking more than they are giving. I envision these people having a straw in my cup,
That's a good visual.
and they're sipping out of it. They're
Hmm.
taking what as fast as I fill it, they're sipping it out, and there's that puts all the power in their hands, not ours.
It's true.
So take the straw out of your cups and don't let anybody sip in your cup.
Mm. Powerful analogy. Great visual.
Yeah, it's and surrounding ourselves with the people who support us, get us, understand what it is we're trying to do, are there for us. You know, saying no, it doesn't mean no forever necessarily. It
Correct.
could be no, not now. It could be no, but I have another idea like yours.
Hmm.
There are so many ways that you can say it's not for me right now because I have to do something for me.
Yeah.
That's not going to work for me, but here's an idea. Or maybe at another time I can help. That's it doesn't have to be no forever.
I love that. And there's something that I would, if you don't mind me
Yeah.
sharing based upon what you just said.
Yeah.
You had mentioned building support, and I'd love to talk about that for a second, if it's okay.
Sure. It's
So,
very important.
yeah, one of the, and it's part of my, it's in my book too. It's towards the end, but I have a chapter called like Build Your Executive Dream Team. And somewhere else in the book, I have a fan club, but I can create a fan club, but I can hit both those points real fast. So in my healing journey, one is I had to create a fan club because my relationships were shifting. I was in a very vulnerable space and I was changing. So people are going to question you when you're changing. Are you
Yeah.
okay? Are you sure? Who's influencing you? Like, there's a lot that gets stirred up when you're
Yeah.
transforming.
Right. And
And
self-doubt starts to
oh, all of that.
it's
It's so
yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
And so I knew, I was like, I got to stay on this journey. I don't want to hit the bathroom floor again. So I picked three girlfriends that were careered, because I did have some really good girlfriends, but not everybody was like career ambitious like I am. So I needed to pick some people that loved Becca, that were career ambitious too, so that they understood the full picture. And that if I started slipping back, their job was to tell me, girl, you keep going,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
really be. And that's why I call it a fan club. I didn't know what I was doing then. I did a lot of things out of necessity. But I created my own little fan club, and they started like texting me and cheering me on, and just like that was invaluable. And then the
Mm.
second piece of support that I want to talk about is build your executive dream team. There are, whether you know yourself like Maria, there's, if you're in corporate America, maybe there's some executives. If you're an entrepreneur, maybe there's some influencers or business coaches that you're like, oh, wow. I would say follow the people that are doing what you want to be doing and more. So there's the free, like, like Marie Forleo or whatever, like there's certain people I follow that have really good tips that I might not ever meet in real life, but I have them on my executive dream team because I'm like, hey, they're guiding me.
Yep.
Then I have found people that like true executives within corporate America that I've asked to be my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And surprisingly, more people will say yes than you think. And then, of course, again, like pointing to Maria, because I already love how your point of view and everything, but then there's coaches too. And so, you might have to pay for some people on your executive dream team. Others might be mentors or influences. But my point is build it because you will find that with like a little bit of fan club from people that love you and by role modeling off people that really inspire you, it keeps you motivated during the hard times.
Yep, absolutely does. I love that you call it your executive dream team. I think that conjures a great image for me. I call it for my clients. I call it, and my personal board of directors.
Yes,
so
same.
If you are the CEO of your life, every CEO relies on a board of directors.
Yes.
So same thing, same concept. Surround yourself with people whom you admire, whom you trust, and who will tell you the truth, who have your back, who know where you're going, have been where you're going, and can help direct you or pull you along, right? Lift as they climb, right? Those are the people that you can always rely on.
Yes.
And let them know that they're on your dream team.
Yes, that's
let them know that
too.
you're going to tap into them when you need them. And I love that. Yeah, the support is so important. And creating that it's one of the first steps as far as I'm concerned.
Truly is.
It's one of the first steps, thinking about who can help you through this, because we're not designed to go through this stuff alone. We're not.
Correct.
That's not how we're designed.
Yeah.
So don't try. Lone wolf
don't
stuff.
try. I mean, during my transformation, I was working with a therapist. I was meditating. I mean, I still do a lot of these best practices because they become a part of you.
Yeah.
But during that period of time, I was meditating. I was going to a therapist. I was getting certified as a kundalini yoga teacher. So I had a mentor that was teaching me, really good self-care and spirituality practices. And so I immersed myself around growth.
Yeah.
And I would suggest that if you're on a similar path and you're ready for a transformation, even if you're not like on the negative side of falling on the bathroom floor, but you're just ready for more, or you're ready to excel. A lot of these things are, you get through that current layer, you clean it up, and then you get this like beautiful opportunity to rise. It's like, it's like a catapult happens.
It can be that. It can be that. And you look back in relatively short order and see how far you've come. And that is motivation, even more motivation for you to keep going. And it's a beautiful journey to be on. It's a beautiful journey to watch. I love witnessing that in my clients. It is just such a beautiful journey. And when I look back at my own and I hear yours, I'm so inspired that it is, I love what I do, but I am so inspired by people like you who share their stories because, as I said at the beginning of the show, this is all about knowing that you are not alone, that there are other people in the world, in your world, that you can touch, you can listen to, you can get advice from, whose books you can read, whose podcasts you can listen to, and just be motivated to keep going. I love what Helen Keller said. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And that
So
just
true.
captures the essence of what we've just been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I have another
Beautiful.
question for you.
Yeah, let's go.
What was the biggest surprise that came out of this journey for you?
I would say my childhood dreams coming true. So I
Oh,
had mentioned that I've always loved writing. And I remember being maybe 5 or 6 and I don't know, writing whatever 5 and 6 year olds do. But lining up, like I would do like a short story and then I'd line up all my stuffed animals and I would read them my story. And so, I always dreamed of being a writer. I'm a huge book nerd. I love reading. And I always just wanted to be a published author. And I did publish Harness Your Inner CEO, but I hybrid published that one. And just recently, within the last six weeks, I got an offer from New World Library, and my next book will be traditionally published. And it's just like a dream come true.
oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
See, when you make room for you to come out and those passions, those childhood passions, so often they are that, right?
Yeah.
Those wispy dreams that we had as kids and saw ourselves so clearly. And then life happened. And we started following other people's expectations of us,
Yes.
and we started compromising our values because life happened. We get drawn away. But when you start making room for you to
Mm-hmm.
resurface, to reclaim, as I love the way you put
Yeah.
that, Becca, reclaiming parts of yourselves, it makes room for those dreams to come to resurface and for
Mm-hmm.
you to get to explore them from a really different angle right now,
Yeah.
because you are now so much further along and you get to see it from a very different perspective. I am so Congratulations. I
Thank
am
you.
so proud of you
Thank
to
you.
have done this work, and good luck on your next book. I think that's
Thank you.
fabulous. What's the title of the next one?
A Return to Radiance.
A Return to Radiance. Oh boy. Whoop. There he goes again.
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. All
Yeah.
right. So let me just, before I ask you to share your tips and key takeaways, and you've sprinkled them throughout, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there's more. Um, uh, is there a an empowering statement, Miss Powers? Is there an empowering statement that you could share with with our listeners here?
Yes, absolutely. You are worth prioritizing yourself.
Hmm.
You are worth prioritizing yourself. Everyone will benefit from it, mostly you.
Mm. You are worth prioritizing yourself. Yeah. So believe it.
Yeah.
And turn that in for everyone who's listening, turn that into an I am statement.
Mm,
So I am worth prioritizing
prioritizing
myself.
myself. I
Yeah.
love it. Goosebumps again.
Yeah. 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 We're tossing those back and forth over the
Yeah,
airwaves here.
sure
I love
are.
I love that. In cyberspace, there are goosies all over the place.
Hmm.
All right, Becca. So let's wrap this one up in a bow for our listeners
Sure.
and our viewers. Tell us what practical tips, key takeaways. Tell us what you've got for us. What's your first one?
So my first one is kind of going to come off my empowering statement is give yourself permission to prioritize yourself. And then give yourself permission to say yes to you. And that may require you doing hard things, which is saying no to other people and situations. And then the third thing, I mean, I could probably share a million, but the other thing that I haven't talked about yet that I think might be really valuable is I call it the power of and. And I would love to challenge you to embrace the power of and that gives you permission. I'm using permission a lot, but that's often we just need to give ourselves permission to be all of the things. The moment that I allowed myself to be a mom, a corporate badass, a spiritual seeker, a reader, a writer, I no longer was separating myself, and it felt fabulous. So I called it the power of and. You are so many things. You are not just one. We are multifaceted. And so I would encourage you to play with that concept of being the and.
The power of and. So I love that. I was making a note. I've been scribbling notes this whole time. The power of and. You can be a mom, and you can be a corporate badass, and you can be a writer, and you can be anything you want to be.
Yeah.
And I love that when you trust that you're capable of being all those things. For me, the idea here is a lot of people talk about life balance. I don't believe in life balance.
Me neither.
I believe in harmony. I
One of
believe
my
that
favorite words.
Yeah, when you think about all these things that you are, I am many things, that we are all many, many things. We get to do some of those things. We don't have to do them full time. They don't have to be our job. They don't have to be what we get paid to do. But they're pieces of our lives, right? We don't usually get paid to be a mom. Although that would be nice, wouldn't it? One of the highest paid. Never mind. We won't go there. But we might get paid to be a writer on the side.
Yes.
We might get paid to do the work we love to do, that we are passionate about doing. Hopefully we get to do things we love to do, but we are many things. I love that. The power of and. So, and I want to add to that. It just came to me. Let's remove the word but from our vocabulary.
I love it.
How about that?
Love it.
Because I can hear people saying, yeah, but, yeah, the yeah buts, right? Yeah, but I don't have time. Yeah, but I don't have enough energy. Yeah, but now let's go back to her first tip, right? Give yourself permission to prioritize you.
Yes.
So when you recondition yourself to prioritize yourself first, and all of a sudden you have more of that stuff, and the power of and will work better for you. Love it.
Yeah, love it too.
Love it. Becca, thank you so much for being here today. It has been a pleasure having this conversation with you. And I know that there are going to be lots of people who are going to want to reach out to you. So let's give them the one best way that they can find you and everything about you.
And everything about me. Best place is the website, and that's beccapowers.com.
All right. And we have that on, we have that on the lower part of the screen, beccapowers.com. And the rest of the links for Becca will be in the show notes. Becca, thank you so much for being
Maria,
here.
what a magical conversation. I just had to use that word again, but it was so good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I have really enjoyed it. And for everyone else who is watching and listening, I really appreciate that you're a part of this community. And if you enjoyed the episode, remember, subscribe to your favorite channel, leave a comment, click a star, and let us know what you think. And please share it. So as a career and life coach, I help women navigate challenging times more quickly and gracefully. So if something in this episode resonates with you and you'd like to continue the conversation, get a fresh perspective, I invite you to join my private Facebook group called the Career Transition Roadmap. The link for it and all the links for Becca are in the show notes below. So let's meet again here next Wednesday, same time, same place, as they say, for another inspiring conversation. Because you know what? I believe it's our time to thrive. So let's thrive together. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan. Till next time, I'm helping you turn transition into triumph.